let's dive into CLG real quick. With CLG, we saw a team that, again, at the final week had their opportunity and then just, in the most CLG fashion, were leading against Dignitas, had the opportunity to, make some plays later on, and just one person gets caught out and another gets caught out, and all of a sudden they were losing. And then all of a sudden, the last like 5 to 10 minutes, Dignitas were in control of the game. You forgot that they were behind and they were on the back foot, and CLG were making the plays. And I think that just kind of summed up CLG's year in a nutshell. So the big question, Dom, who, if anyone, does CLG keep into next year? Under contract is Finn and Wild Turtle, I believe. I'm looking it up.
I don't know. I mean, I have no idea who they end up keeping. I feel like the whole team is such a train wreck that, like, I mean, they did blow up the team and start over essentially, right? They kept Pobelter and Smoothie, but they replaced 3 players last year. I just have no faith in this organization because they have no idea what it means to like build a roster. This was like one of the most like doomed roster if you looked at it from the start, where you just looked at it and there was a hard cap. Like people could even see, the young players of like IMT potentially like outperforming them. And it feels like CLG is just, they like triple lost this offseason if you think about it, right? They spent a lot of money to get the worst fucking results possible, and they weren't able to create any content around the players that they have, which are supposed to be big personalities. Like if you look at like their Twitter following that all these players have, they should be theoretically one of the more popular teams. Like they have established veterans that have fan bases, but no one gave a fuck about this team. They performed like shit and they cost a lot. So it's just like one of the biggest failures you could imagine in the LCS. And I just hope that we get to see another bottom 2 split from CLG. So because I'm interested to see what Riot does, because I think they need one more split out of the next 4. I think it's like 5 out of 8 splits, bottom 2 or something. I think that they've already like got 4 of them.
Riot's never gonna invoke that. I mean, look at. I mean, okay, like I'm not a fucking a doom and gloom viewership person, right? But like, I think there is some truth to, or not. I think they'll never invoke that. Do you think that they'd invoke it ever?
No, I don't. But I think that that's like the whole point. Is I want to see them in that situation, and I want to see them just rationalize keeping CLG with the LCS. What value are they providing? They're literally like making their players break down. Like you hear player accounts, like what is like that shit that Pobelter tweeted. He's like, man, this is the worst I've ever felt after 7 years. Like you see Broxa, one of the most positive guys that you've found like in the LCS. You see like his tweets. It's literally just the most like doomed Twitter account that we've seen in terms of like player account. And it's like, yeah, man, this is not the season that I was hoping for. Like we just need to work out. Like, and so it's like they're just a pure negative look for the LCS. I don't see what the value of keeping CLG is. They don't even have that many fans anymore. Like their Reddit is relatively dead. Their Twitter accounts are dead. No one cares about the org anymore. So they don't have like the historic like team fans, and they don't have that like fan base that they used to have, which was the reason why you'd keep them along. They don't have the legacy fans. They don't have good players. They're reducing the value of their own players and like the brand of those players within the LCS. So like, what is the positive to keeping CLG around? I literally don't know.
Well, I guess the question is what's the alternative, right? That's always the scariest question. And that's pretty much it. Is what's the alternative?
Let's get FaZe in the LCS, baby. FaZe Clan. Yeah, FaZe Clan.
It works perfectly. Didn't they recently do some crypto scams themselves, some pump and dump? Didn't they have some little action going there?
Yeah, they did.
It's their time. They can come in right now. FaZe sponsored by Litcoin or whatever the next one's gonna be.
Yeah,
like,
Litcoin.
It's
lit.
not Litecoin, it's Litcoin. And then they just come in. Everyone buy this coin. Second that you see it, dump it all. Like, all right, perfect. Let's go.
So in case you didn't know, that is what happened. They had their influencers kind of do this, hey, buy this coin. And as people were buying the coin, they sold the coin. And so the price like dropped and the influencer cashed out, which is illegal. They're not allowed to do that. They're not supposed to do that. All teams have their players. All the top teams. I was right. All the top teams have their players signed until 2022 for their Worlds run. The teams that don't are Counter Logic Gaming. Like I was right. It was Finn and Wild Turtle that are signed at least until next year. Dignitas has like a smattering of it. And MVP candidate for Evil Geniuses. This is the only one that does not have their deal signed to 2022. Jizuke. If he, Jizuke is now due for a huge payday next year because he has performed very, very well. MVP candidate here for the summer split, and is only, I guess, under contract for the rest of the year. Team Liquid have a decision on Santorin. That's really the only one. And then, everyone else is signed through the rest of 2022 or 2023.
I mean, the thing about EG is that they're in like a perfect spot because before they were pretty much like most people just had the mentality that EG was just waiting for JoJo to be old enough so that he could play in LCS, and then Jizuke was going to be dumped. But now Jizuke has high value, like based on how he does in playoffs. Like right now, it looks like he has pretty high value within the context of LCS. He's one of the best performing mid laners with like perks falling off and Jensen looking worse this split and all that. So they have huge value there, and they have like one of the most, or probably I would say the most hyped up and coming. Maybe you could argue Copy is also in that tier, but one of the most hyped up and coming academy mid laners like on their bench that could be worth a ton of money potentially. So I think that EG actually has kind of given the formula for like EG is literally what CLG should have been. Like that's what it is.
And is starting to become what Cloud9 used to be in terms of talent, kind of giving them the opportunity, and we'll see if they sell. But it feels like they've got the right track already in place, which is why I thought, and I still think, the Greg Kim hire for CLG is going to be very interesting. I don't think it's going to happen next year, unfortunately. For
you
them.
Love this guy.
Yeah, I mean, look at what Evil Geniuses is doing from an infrastructure standpoint. They're giving kids. We have a thing called JoJo Pune waiting room. Is there such thing as? Let me scroll here. Yunbi waiting room. Is there such thing as Pretty waiting room? That's
wait,
my
who's
point.
The other one? Who did you say?
Pretty.
Oh, Pretty. Yeah, no, but I mean, Pretty's older, right? Isn't Pretty like Pretty? LOL. I thought this guy was older already.
Yeah.
He's 24. Yeah, I mean, he's 24 and he's been like relegated to regional league. I'm not relegated, but he's been in regional leagues for his entire career up until academy. So I don't think he has any hype.
Yeah, but I Sword waiting room. I guess you don't really need anyone behind.
Dude, honestly,
TSM?
I've been watching TSM like academy a little bit, and I think Takeover is legitimately just better than Sword. I think Takeover is more hype than Sword.
Who's Takeover?
He's
other
from
mid.
Chile, from Chile, I believe.
Okay.
He's like a Korean player that I think has Chilean citizenship. Takeover.
Yeah, Hyunmin G Hyunmin. Did I say that right?
Okay. Yeah. Ji Hyunmin.
Ji Hyunmin is and he's on the active LCS roster. He's on the he's on the active LCS roster. No, he's on the academy roster.
Or
if you go below that, they have the amateur.
Actually, I'm not sure. Maybe he does have Korean citizenship, or I thought he was
Chilean.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Maybe he played in the Chilean league.
He did
a lot
play.
of people have different.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Haven't done too much research into him. All I know is that when I watched him play, I thought he was solid.
There it is. Thank you, Joe. Look, production.
Residency. Oh, so he does have Latin American residency. Okay.
Yeah, give a clap in the chat for Joe. Good job, Joe. You've been on point today. All right, so with that, the one thing I do think that CLG does add though, but I guess it doesn't matter if they do go last place next split, is Madison Square Garden. You have access to the Garden to host in New York City at one of the biggest venues. I mean, I've been to an esports event over at Barclays Center, which is in Brooklyn, not like Manhattan proper or whatever.
That's where the 6ix9ine shooting happened, apparently.
Okay.
Shooting that was linked to 6ix9ine shooting 6ix9ine.
Come on. It was, Barclays. I mean, Brooklyn's a big city. But it was over at Barclays, and it was a great facility. But there's something about having Madison Square Garden as like, the home. It is an iconic stadium in the global stage. So that is something that CLG brings. So, all right.
Yeah, and then you have people giving accounts that like were coaches for CLG for like 3 years or whatever from Sojin. That's like, this is the biggest problem with CLG. It's what's killing the organization. It's like, yeah, that's great. A great like advertising there for the organization. Perfect.
Yeah. Oh my God. I didn't realize we had all these New York fans. Brooklyn's not a city, you got. Here, let me do my New
Hey,
York.
it's a
Brooklyn's
borough.
not a
It's
city, you
not a city,
dickhead. It's a fucking it's a burg. It's a fucking burg. It's its own
borough.
fucking thing. A borough.
Borough.
Get,
Yeah,
get
it's a
your
borough.
facts straight. Head ass. Well, that's the end of our video. You want more though, right? Thought so. Good thing YouTube makes it so easy to watch more VENN Esports. Easier than keeping me in frame. Whoa. Whoa. While you're watching me dodge around, click on these videos.